He Ramakrishna Madhuram Tava Satcharitram Tvat Punna Nama Madhuram Madhuram Tadangam Sambhashanam Cha Madhuram Madhuram Cha Ganam Tat Kim Nujanna Madhuram Bhavati Tvadiyam. O Ramakrishna, your life story is sweet. Your name is full of honey. Your music, song is melodious and sweet. Your conversation is like nectar. Your everything is sweet, O Lord. Please bless us. Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Peace, peace, peace be told. And we are very happy that Swami Yogatmananda, head of the Vedanta Society of Providence, will speak today on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The Swami joined the Ramakrishna order in 1976 in Nagpur, Madhya Pradesh. Swami was an editor of the Jivan Vikas magazine, which is published in Marathi language for some years. Then he was in Shillong, in Meghalaya. Then he was transferred to America.
Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayoh Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhur. I take refuge in the lotus feet of Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna. Friends, I am very happy and feel privileged to be here in this beautiful Vedanta Society of St. Louis on the auspicious occasion of the birthday anniversary service. As I mentioned on Thursday, some of you were present on that occasion, that the Center of St. Louis, Vedanta Society of St. Louis, held a special attraction for me ever since I joined the order, because of the great books of Satprakashananji and later on revered Swami Chetananandaji. So I really was pleased to find an opportunity to view this center and to speak to the devotees there. And the subject for today's talk, as has been already introduced, is a unique piece of religious literature in the history of the whole world. There is no book which contains the stenographic direct recordings of the words of incarnation in this manner. You know, Sri Rama, his words we don't get directly. There are various books in which they, like Ramayana by Valmiki, there we get the words of Sri Rama as told in the verse by Valmiki. And how Valmiki got it? Valmiki, he heard first the biography from Narada, a short biography of Rama from Narada, and then developed this big epic. So the words that we get in the Ramayana, they are that of Valmiki's. And he speaks on behalf of Rama. It is a faithful dialogue, no doubt. Faithful words are given, but not the direct words. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Vyasa records it. It comes, the dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna took place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and Sanjaya was telling it to Dhritarashtra, and it is this dialogue has been placed in the great epic Mahabharata by Vyasa. So in that Gita Dhyana we chant, Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina. It is Vyasena Grathitam, not the direct words of Sri Krishna as such, because otherwise we will have to assume that Arjuna and Sri Krishna, they were conversing in verses, which we normally don't do, and certainly not on the battlefield, you see. So they were the words of Vyasa, and the content of the message of Sri Krishna was put into the words by Vyasa. Similarly, we will find that the words of Jesus and Buddha, they were also not recorded directly. But here we find, to fulfill the unique requirement of the modern man, the incarnation of this modern age has made this arrangement also, because we want in this scientific age direct proof, direct evidence. So here the incarnation brought a stenographer also with him, and from that angle it is certainly a unique text, and it provides a direct answer to all our spiritual quests. There is, I found that many people have told me, apart from my own experience, that there is nothing in our spiritual quest that we do not find addressed in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It is true. We find that whatever doubts we have about spiritual life, they get addressed in this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. It is interesting to see a few things about this, that Sri Ramakrishna's, these words are not just the conversations that are recorded. The chronicler Mahendranath Gupta, who was, as has been told to you, the headmaster of a school, and he took care to bring the living atmosphere in which those words were spoken with all details. He brought that thing alive in the book. Every detail is mentioned, where Sri Ramakrishna was seated, in which direction he was facing, who were there along with him in the room, what time and hour of the day it was. It is exactly, everything has been very beautifully mentioned by him, so that we can feel this idea that we are there right in that atmosphere and hearing Sri Ramakrishna speaking to us. And that is very important, to feel this, that Sri Ramakrishna is speaking to us. We are seated right amongst those. We can imagine always the pictures that he creates before us is so vivid that we can feel. It is very easy for us to feel that we are one amongst the audience and are directly listening to the words of Sri Ramakrishna. So his presentation is very important from that angle. The name that he has given to the original Bengali book is Kathamrita, Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. So this Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, why the name Kathamrita has been chosen? This Amrita is a mysterious that ambrosio or nectar, whatever name you may give it to, that liquid has two characteristics. Firstly, that of sweetness. It is very delicious, very sweet. And is also something that brings you immortality. This is, as Maharaj told right in the verse that he chanted in the beginning, with Sri Ramakrishna, everything is Madhura. That is, his life is sweet, his conversations are sweet, his walking is sweet, his behavior is sweet. Everything associated with Sri Ramakrishna is full of sweetness. What about the other quality of making his conversations granting us immortality? Is it just an exaggeration of this, that making it appear as if we read that, are we going to become immortal? That is what it suggests. If we read this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, these words here will be bringing us immortality. So it appears that probably it is just a glorification. It is a eulogy to make it appeal to the public. Like we say, oh, that is great and that is wonderful. Actually, there is nothing very great about those things, but we use those words. Like I was telling our Nishpapananda this morning, that every book in United States seems to be a bestseller. You see it printed on it. Now actually it is, had it been really bestseller, then it is not necessary to make that announcement. It is really not so. It is a eulogy, and people understand it that way, that it is not really a bestseller. But does this apply to this book also? Apparently, we may feel, yes, after all, people keep on reading this for ages, and then do they become immortal thereby? Many people have read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita has been read by millions of people, and many of them have died. So, even not only those who read, the person who has written that Mahendranath Gupta, he also has died. Not to speak of him, the person Sri Ramakrishna, physically speaking, that person also has died. So, how can these be the words bringing us immortality? But if we understand it in a deeper sense, we will see that this is not just a eulogy or a glorification. These words do bring us immortality in the real sense of the term. Because what makes us mortal? What makes us die? Friends, we all know that there is no way of keeping the body forever. It has to disintegrate. It has to die. Howsoever we may go on feeding antibiotics and all that, it is going to, one day or the other, it is going to perish. There is no way you can preserve it infinitely long. Body has to die. There is absolutely no way you can preserve it indefinitely. And yet, do we die? Does the reality in me die? It does not. We see body keeps on changing, but I do not change thereby. I remain just the same, irrespective of the changes in the body. If somebody shows me my photograph taken when I was 6 months old, and the photograph taken, say, yesterday, they will look absolutely different, you see. And yet, I would say, this is I when I was 6 months old. The same, I remains the same. The appearance, the bodies keep on changing. The I remain just the same. So, even when the body disintegrates, this I does not die thereby. It is the changes in the body does not affect my real nature. That remains immortal. That is immortal. That is neither born and therefore is not subject to death. And yet, what makes me feel that I am born and I die? My experience tells me that whatever this intellectual understanding may be, I know for sure that I am born and I am going to die. Why this happens? Although a little analysis tells us that my real nature, does not get affected by the changes that take place in body. This false identification with body. I consider myself identical with body. I am bound together with the body in an inseparable way. By intellectual analysis, I may be able to separate them, but in my experience, I know for sure that I am body. I say that I am standing here. That is my experience. Body standing here is the fact, but because my identification with the body, I feel I am standing here. So, because of this identification with body, what happens? Just as I say that I stand here when body is standing. When the body sits, I say I sit there. When some food is put in the body, I say I eat. And similarly, therefore, when the body dies, I say, or I feel, I am not, of course, in a position to say that I die. When the body dies, I feel I die with the death of the body because of this identification with body. And now imagine somebody removes this identification. By something, this identification is removed. Then what will happen? Then the changes in the body I will not see as the changes in me. Just as if suppose you bring a photograph of mine and if that photograph is torn, do I feel that I am torn thereby? I don't feel that I am torn. The photograph is torn. If suppose instead of photograph you have a three-dimensional statue of mine, you bring it here and break right in front of me, I may feel a little sad, but then I know that, well, that is not really hurting me. It is, that statue is different, I am different. And what is this but a three-dimensional statue made of blood and bones and things like that? Instead of making it of clay or metal, well, it is made of blood and bone, a three-dimensional statue. Suppose like a robot. A robot can be given that speech and all. In that museum at that arch, we saw that day that they had that human-shaped robots which keep on speaking in front of you, giving the history and other things. So, it is just like this fellow, you see. It is just made of blood and all that. Instead of putting the electronic devices directly, our cells, they pretty much work like the electronic devices. And this is just a statue. If something happens to it, why should I consider that it is happening to me? I consider it so because of the identification. The identification is so deep. This ignorance is so deep that even if I read and intellectually understand that really I am not this statue, just as I am not a statue of just likeness made of stone or clay of my person, just as I am not that, I am not this either. And yet, that intellectual understanding does not completely remove that identification. So we need something that goes deeper than our intellect, something that sinks at the deeper level of the personality and brings about the changes there. And suppose something removes this identification, then what is that can kill me then? What is that can bring death to me? The word death will lose all the meaning, you see. The idea of death itself will vanish because it is associated only with this physical appearance, and I am separate from it. So let thousands of photographs of mine be torn to pieces, thousands of my statues be crushed and destroyed. Millions of such bodies may come and go. Does that kill me? Does that affect me? It does not. And something that brings this knowledge, this experience, this awareness right into me. What can we call it? Amrita, the ambrosio that makes us free of death. We transcend death. We become immortal as our real nature is. This nectar, when we take in, it makes us immortal. Sri Ramakrishna's words bring us that. You are not that body. That awareness is brought by Sri Ramakrishna. And that is why its name is Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. This name is not a glorification. This is just a statement of fact that if we receive this thing properly, then it brings us immortality. Not on the physical level. It is foolishness to seek immortality at the physical level. It is against all scientific reasoning. But at the deeper level, at our real nature level, we really are immortal. And when this ignorance and the resultant identification is removed through the potent weapon that can do it, as the words of Sri Ramakrishna, then we realize that we are immortal. And because of that, this book is very rightly, very justly titled as Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is the English translation. This is a beautiful book because it brings the awareness of Sri Ramakrishna to common people like us. It is meant for common people steeped in the miseries and the vacillations of mind that we all are suffering from in the world. It is not really meant for those who are at a very high stage of spiritual elevation. For them, the advices here may not be required. These are for people like I and you, who are so attached to the bodies, and also they are buffeted in the world by the what Vedanta calls as the dual throng, the pairs of opposites. We are all tossed here and there like we were playing badminton, and that shuttlecock that gets hit on both sides, that I and Chetananandji, we were playing that day, and then I hit on one side, the Swami smashes it from the other side, and that shuttlecock was getting hit on both sides. So our condition in the world is pretty much like that shuttlecock. We run for pleasure in this direction, get kicked from that side. Go in the other direction, there also we get a nice smash. So it is like that our condition is. So when we approach Sri Ramakrishna through these words, then we get the solution, real solution for all our problems, not just empty assurances like the politicians give. It is the assurance which is real, that can be experienced in one's own life. That you can get over all these things and acquire or get your real nature experienced in this life, that will remove all your miseries, all your sufferings. And that is why here we find the chronicler himself approaches Sri Ramakrishna not with the idea of getting some religious truth. He didn't approach Sri Ramakrishna with that kind of the attitude of a disciple we see in the Upanishads, who were thirsty for spiritual wisdom. They already knew that the world contains no truth at all. They were not. They were ready to renounce the world. Such disciples we find in Upanishads. When we read like the story of that Kathopanishad, we find Nachiketa. When we compare our life with that of Nachiketa, we find that, well, we don't have even a thousandth part of his determination and renunciation. So the advice given to Nachiketa doesn't really, we feel, and rightly so, doesn't apply to us. But that does not mean that it cannot be given in a different way so that it becomes applicable to us too. Like at different ages, the same medicine is given in different ways. Now, if somebody is suffering from, say, flu, an antibiotic is to be given. Now, for an elderly person, you can give, say, a pill can be given. Well, you take 2 pills. And suppose if it is to be given for an infant, a 2-month-old infant, well, you can't give that pill to that infant. Absolutely impossible for make it swallow it. So, but that doesn't mean that the medicine cannot be given. The same medicine has to be given to that fellow also. But then you have to make it into a kind of sweet syrup. The same medicine is administered as a sweet syrup so that it goes in. So for we spiritual infants, Sri Ramakrishna's genius has made that very medicine. Medicine is the same, you see, not different medicine. The same medicines which Vedas and Upanishads have given, that very medicine, Sri Ramakrishna's genius has converted into a sweet syrup which we can easily take in and get our disease cured. So that is the speciality of Sri Ramakrishna's, these words, the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And these words are really spoken to the householders. They are not words spoken to the sannyasins, the would-be sannyasins, disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was very cautious about speaking, giving advice to different classes of people. depending on what they can understand and what they can absorb. The same thing given to everybody won't do. So he would give advice to his would-be monastic disciples. First he would go out of his room and see if there is nobody around, no householder is around. And then he would close the door and then give the advice. This person, the chronicler, was not a party to that. So he was present when all the other householders used to be coming to Sri Ramakrishna and has noted down these things. So this advice is predominantly for the householders. It works, of course, for the monks too. But sometimes we get the feeling, many people, they told to me when there comes the description of renunciation, etc., in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that this seems to be the advice only for the monks, isn't it? Well, there is no advice here that is not really applicable to householders. It is the monks also have to renounce, householders have to renounce. Again, the process of renunciation is different. The renunciation has to be there in one way or the other. I like to say it this way, that the renunciation on the path of knowledge or the direct renunciation is like surgery. The surgery without giving an anesthetic. Without anesthesia, that surgery is performed. And then this is the surgery with anesthetic. So you don't feel the pain of it. You are taken on the path of surgery. Surgery has to be performed. If the cure is to be has to be there, then the surgery has to be performed. But then painless surgery is required, because otherwise the fear of the pain, many will not be able to take it. Even the idea of that pain will kill them there itself. Yes. The doctor will not be required. So it is. So painless surgeries, you see that, and this, Sri Ramakrishna gives the way of renunciation in a painless way. Renunciation has to be there. After all, it is a simple thing that you cannot have both these things together. Sri Ramakrishna has made it amply clear that you cannot have the world and the God, everything. You see, the worldly enjoyments will also go on, and also I will be a big devotee. All these, that kind of a solution Sri Ramakrishna doesn't propose. That is cheating people, you see. Where it is said that, well, you can have this as well as that. Sri Ramakrishna is very much against that. It is, you have to give up that which is miserable to get that which brings happiness. So Sri Ramakrishna tells us, shows us that what you are running after as pleasures of the world, they are going to bring you misery. So if you want to avoid misery, well, somehow or other you have to get away from those. There is no alternative. There is that story told of a king. That king was, he was holding his court, and many wise people used to come to his court. One day a sage came, and the king with folded hands asked, well, tell me the way of liberation. I want to be liberated from this world. Tell me the way for liberation. And the sage, instead of giving a direct reply, that in that courtroom, the roof was supported with many pillars. He just went and hugged a pillar and started shouting, "Oh, liberate me from this pillar!" And the king and all the courtiers, of course, started laughing. Oh, you have to give up the hold. Who can help you if you don't want to, you see, give up hugging to that pillar? If you are hugging the pillar, and so give up your hold. That is the thing that one has to do. So, whether you do it directly or indirectly, one has to do it. So Sri Ramakrishna tells us the way by which it can be done in a painless way, some path that we all can take. And the capacity of telling these things Sri Ramakrishna really had, because he could see, he himself has mentioned this fact, and Swami Vivekananda has also several times mentioned about this, a great faculty of Sri Ramakrishna, that he could see everything in the minds of the people as if they are all things kept in a glass case. Just as things in a glass showcase, you can see them very clearly. Similarly, whatever is going on in anybody's minds, Sri Ramakrishna could directly perceive it. No psychologist or psychoanalyst was required, you see. He could directly see those things. So, it is that tremendous capability of Sri Ramakrishna made him tell us that what is the exact nature of obstacle that is obstructing our path to the spiritual wisdom, and provide the solution. He could diagnose without difficulty. What is the problem? He could diagnose very easily, and therefore the medicine also would come exactly right. He could see that the different people require different types of treatments. All cannot be given the same thing. He gives one example that the mother prepares different types of dishes. She has the same fish, but then depending on the digestive capabilities of different people, somewhere she prepares a light soupy thing. Sometimes another of her child can digest even heavy stuff. She fries it in a lot of fat and then presents it. Somebody likes spices, she puts lot of spices into that. Somebody likes a bit bland, so she doesn't put it there. So according to the different tastes and different capabilities of digestion, the mother prepares different dishes. So Sri Ramakrishna also would see that what is the digestive capacity, and accordingly present the advice. Otherwise it becomes, you can't understand it, it is very difficult. Like a child, his father was a big engineer, and this 5-year-old child, when he saw the ceiling fan, it was moving, so he asked the father, Dad, how does that fan move? And the dad was very happy. He was, look here, my child, you see, at this very tender age, he has that inquisitive nature to find out the secrets of nature. And then he sat there, started explaining the child with different diagrams. So see, look here, this is the magnetic couple, electric couple and magnetic couple and all that. For half an hour or so, he kept on explaining all those things. And the child, of course, in a couple of minutes had lost all the interest in that and was probably playing with his marbles or something. And then after about half an hour's lecture, that father asked, so my child, now you understood how the fan moves? The child said, oh yeah, Dad, the wind makes the fan move. So that kind of teaching otherwise ensues if we are not able to see what kind of people are there who are listening to. Sri Ramakrishna was very conscious about that. He won't tell people the things that they won't understand. He would begin from where they are. That is the job of the right teacher. If the teacher, suppose, tells his class that something that they have never heard before, which have no connection at all with what they had been learning till now, naturally the students are not going to understand anything. And if he goes on telling only that which they know, then it is useless, isn't it? They already know it. So the job of the teacher is to begin at that level. Begin at that level, but not remain at that level. And take them. Like the cranes, big cranes which ship the goods from the boats to the and bring them to the jetties or to the banks. How do they work? One end of that crane, it is attached to that goods on the boat, and the other is firmly rooted on the ground. And then after getting that goods is attached to it, it lifts it. It doesn't keep it where it is. If the crane doesn't reach the goods, it is useless. And if it keeps the goods there only after reaching it, still it is useless. So the right teacher lifts the students from where they are and take them where they wish to go. So we see in Sri Ramakrishna's life that he takes the students. He doesn't reject a student because of that level of the student. Whatever may be the understanding of that student, Sri Ramakrishna reaches that level, lifts that student from there, and brings him or her to the level of the final destination, takes the student gradually to that level. So, from that angle, these advices of Sri Ramakrishna, they are very, very helpful, immensely helpful. In fact, I saw many people, including most of the monks, they read at least a portion of this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day, because it helps them to concentrate on the goal of life, to put life in the proper perspective and march in the direction of the goal of life. If you see through the pages of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, every now and then you will see this statement being repeated, that the goal of human life is God realization. God realization is the goal of human life. He keeps on repeating this again and again. And that is the theme of this book, that all other things we do in life, doing them, there is nothing wrong as such, but we must turn them in such a way that our goal, primary goal of life, should never be forgotten. It is the primary goal is that God realization. For that is the human birth. God realization is the primary goal. Why so? I remember, when I was a college-going student, one Swami used to just discuss certain things with us with a book of Swami Vivekananda. And there, that book, I remember, Practical Vedanta was the title of that book. And there it is mentioned that the life must have a goal. Just after a page or two, that line comes that there has to be a goal for human life. And we students there immediately agreed, yeah, there should be a goal of life, of course. Otherwise, what we are... And Swami Vivekananda mentions there that if a person with a goal makes 100 mistakes, then the person without a goal makes, say, 50,000 mistakes. In fact, whatever he does is a mistake. There is no way to judge, isn't it, whether something is right or wrong. If I have a goal, then if my action helps me to go towards the goal, I should call it a right action. If it is taking me away from that, I would call it a wrong action. But if I have no goal at all, then what is the meaning of right and wrong? Suppose I am driving someplace, and then I stop at a gas station and ask the person, is this the right way? He would ask me, where do you want to go, sir? And if I reply, I don't know where I want to go, then what is the meaning, you say? So in life also, if there is no goal, then everything is wrong. First, this is the first mistake that we made, that we didn't fix a destination for life. It is a journey, friends. Life is a journey. And so let us fix a goal first. And we were, so to say, those days bright students, including myself, although you may not believe now. And then we understood this pretty clearly, that we ought to have a goal in life. But what should be the goal in life? It was a little more complex situation. Goal should be there in life, okay. But then I will have one goal, my other friend, he will have another goal. Somebody would like to be the best football player, somebody would like to be a best actor, and somebody the richest person in the world, somebody the big scientist, somebody, so many, there is no end to those things. Why should there be the goal? The same goal should be there. And then that Swami told that, look here, first know. What is the definition of goal? What is the criterion of goal? What will you call a goal? And then he suggested that getting which nothing else remains to be gotten, nothing else remains to be searched for. That should be the goal, isn't it? And that made us think. Yes, because if getting the goal, if something still remains to be achieved, then that something should be called goal. So goal is something getting which, reaching which, nothing else should remain to be obtained. That is the goal. And then if we apply that criterion of goal, we will for sure see what the meaning of what Sri Ramakrishna says, that God realization is the goal of human life, because nothing else can satisfy us completely. You can try, you must have tried. Everybody here, we see, I am seeing that has lived enough years to understand that, whatever else we are doing in life, it will fall short of bringing us complete satisfaction. Because we have seen money, it does not bring satisfaction. In fact, if I am asked my honest opinion, I will tell that comparatively poorer people are happier ones. I have come to this conclusion after a lot of experiences, and I have seen that the proportion of happiness and peace that a monetarily poor person gets is much more. So anyway, but the idea is money is never, can never be the goal. Even by common understanding of economics, we know money can be only the means and not the end. You don't need much spiritual understanding for that. Money can only be the means. Any other thing that you think of, can that bring complete satisfaction? Never. So, God realization brings us whatever we want completely, fully. I will not dwell too much on that because the time is limited, but you can think about it. If we get to God realization, we become infinite. Like God is infinite, we too become infinite. Nothing else remains to be achieved. We become filled with infinite bliss, infinite knowledge, and immortality. So, what else then remains to be achieved, tell me? Nothing remains to be achieved then. So, that alone, friends, there is no compromise there. Can we have 3-4 goals? No. That alone, God realization alone, is the goal of human life. And that is the dominant theme in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And then how to achieve it? If the goal is not practicable, how can one achieve it? It is, maybe it is good for thinking about it, but if it is impossible, how can we achieve it? Is it an impossibility? Sri Ramakrishna says that it is not impossibility. And sometimes people feel that maybe a few hermits and monks like that, they may achieve this goal. We are, after all, householders. We are common people. We all try to hide behind the shield of that we are all common people. And then for us it is not there. So Sri Ramakrishna says, no, it is for everybody, whosoever wants it. Whosoever wants it, well, you can get it. There is always this question repeated, you say, in Sri Ramakrishna, this gospel, that as we saw earlier, most of the listeners are householders, and the question would be asked, is it possible in the householder's life to realize God? And Sri Ramakrishna would say, why not? Why not? Sri Ramakrishna would not discourage anybody. He would say, yes, why not? But not that policy of giving the good news first and bad news afterwards. That somebody told, that the patient's relative asked, what's the news? Oh, the operation, the surgery was performed successfully. And the patient died peacefully. The first the good news and then the bad news. So the patient died peacefully. So that is, Sri Ramakrishna gives a good news first and then the better news afterwards. So you have to, the practical thing he says that, well, you have to apply yourself for that. And just by doing nothing, you are not going to get it. It is, you have to work hard. You have to apply yourself. What should be done? Different things he has told. One of those things is you remain in the world, like a lotus in the water. The lotus leaf in the water, although it remains in the water, the water doesn't stick to it. So you should remain in the world, but in such a way that the world doesn't stick to you. He would give another analogy that you say that you be in the world, you be in the samsara. Samsara means this worldly life, it is sometimes called samsara. Because samyak sarati iti samsara, that goes on, keeps on changing, and yet you feel kind of continuity around it. So that is, he says, you should be in samsara, you should be in the world, nothing bad in it. But let world not enter in you. Like the boat. The boat should be in water. There is nothing wrong about it. After all, nobody makes boats to ride on the street, you see. They are meant to be in the water. Nothing wrong in boats being in the water. But if water gets into the boat, then that's the problem, then the boat is going to sink. So let you be in the world, nothing wrong about it. It is very good. You be in the world. But let not the world enter in you. Always he would say that think that nobody is yours in the world except God. Others are your temporary relations, temporary contacts. He would tell these things through different stories in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We see through different stories it is told Then sometimes we get, that he makes these things understandable, that it is not just intellectual understanding, but the love for God has to be developed. The love is the big force. The intellect is it is mostly like a policeman. Just as a policeman, it doesn't tell you to do charitable works or good works. But if you try to do some robbery or something bad, then that policeman comes and stops you. So you can't do that, he would tell you. But he doesn't propel you or inspire you to doing some good works. So long as you are living within the limits of the law, he doesn't touch you. So intellect also is more or less like that. It tells us what is right and wrong, but doesn't inspire directly. What inspires us is the love. Our emotions are a bigger force in our life than the intellect. Intellect can be compared, as has been compared in the Kathopanishad, that it is like a steering wheel. Your car has to have a steering wheel, no doubt, otherwise how can you take it to the right place? But that doesn't propel the car. You have to have engine and the fuel. So the engine and the fuel are our emotions, you see. They make the car of our life move. Sri Ramakrishna tells, therefore, that love has to be developed, and with that love, gradually the different problems of life will be resolved. He shows that at different stages the experiences become different, and all of them are not contradictory but complementary to each other. They show the different levels of understanding, and therefore we see a very beautiful harmony of different religious thoughts presented here. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Sardananda, he has very beautifully expressed this, that Sri Ramakrishna's experiences were on two different levels. This thing is like we all, he would see the different things as those very things. There his understanding and our understanding wouldn't differ. Like we call a dog, not that because of his religious this thing he would call a dog a cat. No, it would be just the same. The same things as we see, he also sees. But he sees them as manifestations of God, who is the reality. They are the changing forms of God, who is the reality. We take the forms to be real. He sees that they are not real. It is the God who is manifesting through these forms. That is very important. Like the cream cracker, crackers, you see, animal crackers you eat. The animal crackers, they have different shapes. Some that elephant is there, a rabbit is there, a pig is there. So many different animals, but the same substance, you see. The children cry about it. Oh, I want to eat elephant. Okay, you eat elephant. But in the shop, the price of the elephant and the price of the rabbit is the same, you see. It is given by weight, whether it is a rabbit or it is elephant. It doesn't matter. The child doesn't see that it is the same thing, only different shapes. So we also get deluded like children. We take these names and forms, these different shapes, our special different identities to be real. But they are not real. Sri Ramakrishna, while seeing that like those crackers, this is an elephant shaped, this is a rabbit shaped, this is a lion shaped. He is not calling the elephant shaped as the rabbit shaped. He is wise enough to see the difference there, but without missing the underlying unity. Underlying oneness was most important for him. The shapes come and go. At the level of shape, we have to deal at that level, at the level of shape. And the difference between us and Sri Ramakrishna is that he deals with them with the knowledge that these shapes are not real, and therefore no contradiction creeps in his thoughts. Whereas for us, it is always contradictory. Somebody we feel our friend, very close friend, why he turns into a foe after a time, we don't understand. It is like that for us because we take the forms to be real. The forms are not real, they keep on changing. The substance, the truth, that remains all the while. So, this is the awareness of Sri Ramakrishna, which makes him different from us. He has access to the reality, and also he could see the forms like us. So he knows exactly where we make mistakes and then takes us out and makes us aware of that mistake. So this is the speciality of Sri Ramakrishna. So let me read a few lines from him, his conversation with Vijay Krishna Goswami. I am aware that I don't have much time, but still I will, with the permission of Maharaj, I will take a couple of minutes more. He says that which is Brahman is also Kali, the mother, the primal energy. That which is Brahman is also a mother. That which is formless assumes these forms. And then there singing of Ram Prasad's songs follow. And then one of the devotees present there, Vijay, the great Brahma Samaj teacher, Vijay Krishna Goswami. What remains if one renounces both dharma and adharma? In that song, there is that I have renounced the righteousness as well as the unrighteousness, the dharma and adharma. Then he says, what remains then? And then Sri Ramakrishna answers, pure love of God. I prayed to Divine Mother. O Mother, here, take thy dharma, here, take thy adharma, and give me pure love for thee. Here, take thy virtue, here, take thy vice, and give me pure love for thee. Here, take thy knowledge, here, take thy ignorance, and give me pure love for thee. You see, I didn't ask even for knowledge or public recognition. When one renounces both dharma and adharma, there remains only pure love of God, love that is stainless, motiveless, and that one feels only for the sake of love. Then another Brahma devotee, after hearing this, asked the question, is God different from his Shakti? Because many of you must be knowing the background of this Brahma Samaj, they worship this, they don't accept the forms. They accept the qualities of God, that He is omnipotent, He is compassionate and all that, but not the form. They had somehow allergic with the forms. So, form of God, how can God take a form? So Brahman, very good, but that Brahman Shakti means that form or something that should be taken as. So they asked Sri Ramakrishna, he asked that, is God different from his Shakti? And Sri Ramakrishna told, at a level, yes, it appears different. But then intrinsically they are same. After attaining perfect knowledge, one realizes that they are not different, they are the same, like the gem and its brilliance. Thinking of the gem, one cannot but think of its brilliance. Again, they are like milk and its whiteness. Thinking of one, you must also think of the other. But you cannot realize this non-duality before the attainment of perfect knowledge. So, one has to take these things at that level. But keep in mind that ultimately these differences are going to merge as our level of understanding goes higher and higher. So, All these different spiritual practices, worshipping to different gods, is okay. God is with form and without form both. In fact, the chronicler of gospel, when he approached Sri Ramakrishna there, he didn't come for any particular spiritual guidance. He was terribly depressed, was on the verge of committing suicide, and his friend Sidhu had just taken him for a stroll in the beautiful garden around the temple. And then, just as a matter of course, he told him that, well, a saintly figure stays here. Can we go and have a darshanam, just a blessing from him? It is considered in Hindus that visiting a saintly person brings some auspiciousness. So, in that frame of mind, he consented and went there. And in the very first conversation, this thing comes. That struck the chronicler Mahendranath Gupta, that in a very deep way, that how can God be with form and without form both? So, it is Sri Ramakrishna accepts both, harmonizes both, that God is with form as well as without form and beyond both of them. So, in Sri Ramakrishna, we find that different types of levels of spiritual aspirants all get solace. Sri Ramakrishna practiced different paths and then proved that all paths lead to the same ultimate goal through the direct evidence of his experience, and therefore he could become the guide to every individual who could come to him. So this is today we discussed just a few ideas, and of course you all devotees here coming here for quite a few years, and then must have acquainted yourselves with this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I am sure. So I have not told you anything new, I know. It is just a combined meditation on this great message, and I feel privileged to get this opportunity to be amongst you who inspired me to do this meditation, which I know brings purity, brings devotion, and I thank you for that. I thank Swami Chetananandji for giving me this opportunity. I also thank my brother Nishpapananda to having made my stay here very happy and comfortable. Thank you all, friends.